I walked in on my boyfriend doing the dirty with his gay best friend. My boyfriend moved in with his gay best friend 6 months ago. Here's a little backstory. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years. My boyfriend is a social butterfly. He has 1,000,001 friends. I got used to this very quickly because most of them were female and a lot of them were gay. They actually became my friends too in some cases. Early on in the relationship, I met one of his best friends. Let's call him Tim. Tim is very, very gay. And he doesn't hide the fact that he thinks my boyfriend is very attractive. I asked my boyfriend if Tim ever made him feel uncomfortable, and he said no. But here's the thing. Tim sometimes says the most outlandish things about my boyfriend. Yeah, my boyfriend is hot. He's super fit, has a great face, so Timmy loves to comment on his body all the time. On several occasions, he's made really dirty jokes about my boyfriend's butt and the things that he'd like to do to my boyfriend's butt. Every time they go out, he's always trying to get my boyfriend drunk. And when he succeeds, he always takes off his shirt. So then my boyfriend spends the rest of the night shirtless. Obviously, this bothered me, but it didn't bother me enough to ever be concerned. Boy, was I wrong. A few weeks ago, Timmy threw a party and told my boyfriend not to invite me. I got really upset, so I showed up anyway. Timmy was trying to kiss my boyfriend. Part 2 is up. I walked in on my boyfriend doing the dirty with his gay best friend. I instantly knew the only reason I didn't get invited to the party was so that Tim could try to get with my boyfriend. But here's the thing, my boyfriend had so much patience for Timmy. Even though Timmy would make such perverted jokes about my boyfriend would laugh it off and tell me it wasn't a big deal. But I knew it did make him uncomfortable. But of course, I show up to the party anyway. When I got there, I found Timmy sitting on the couch with my boyfriend. My boyfriend was clearly drunk, and Timmy was trying to kiss his neck. As soon as Timmy saw me, he got up from the couch and asked me what I was doing there. He said that it was a boys-only party. When I looked around, it actually was. There were no other women there. I told Timmy that I was going to take my boyfriend home, and he said that I was overreacting and that my boyfriend was just having fun. I walk up to my boyfriend and he is so drunk, he doesn't even recognize me. I grabbed him and got him out of there. The next day, I told my boyfriend that Timmy was trying to kiss him when he was drunk. But of course, my boyfriend defended him. And my boyfriend confessed to me that he knows Timmy has a crush on him and that he's basically his best friend out of pity. Then my boyfriend actually told me I needed to stop being a bitch to Timmy. Part 3 is up. I walked in on my boyfriend doing the dirty with his gay best friend. That's when my boyfriend basically told me I needed to stop being a bitch to Tim. I decided to ghost my boyfriend for 2 days because I was so upset at him. But here's the thing, my boyfriend was ghosting me too. So I decided to go over to his apartment because I hadn't heard from him in 24 hours. My boyfriend had given me a key to his apartment, by the way. But before I put in the key to unlock the door, I hear moaning sounds coming from inside. I instantly knew what was happening. Quickly unlock the door and find my boyfriend getting banged on the couch by his gay best friend. It's an image I can never forget. I'm actually traumatized. They separate and my boyfriend comes running over to me. First thing out of his mouth was, "We were just experimenting, it's not a big deal." He thought I was gonna be like, "Oh, cool. I look over at Timmy and he's on the couch smiling. I couldn't help myself and I slapped my boyfriend really hard. I ran away and didn't talk to him for 2 days. He finally came over to my apartment after those 2 days and explained that it was just something experimental. And he swears that they've never done it before and that they never will again. I took him back, but I don't trust him. He says that Timmy will always be his best friend and that I shouldn't get jealous. What should I do? Storytime about how my husband keeps borrowing money from me and now wants access to my bank accounts. What should I do? Disclaimer, this is not my Storytime, it's not on my Instagram. My husband and I have been married for 6 years. When we first got married, we were really young, so we were living with our parents. We didn't actually move out from my parents' house up until 2 years ago. In fact, I don't think we're actually adults yet. We both still act like we're teenagers. I'm 24 and he's 25. I recently got myself a really good job. He, on the other hand, has never had a really good job. He does a lot of odd jobs here and there, a lot of catering. He also models because he's extremely good looking. So now that I got myself a job, I wanted to get my own apartment. But of course, I have to include my husband because we're married. He actually ended up getting an okay job. We decided to split the rent and everything was going fine. But then he got laid off and this is when things started going bad. He started asking me for money because he wasn't getting paid anymore. Every now and then he would ask me for like $10 or he would ask me for my debit card. At first, it was just small purchases like going to the supermarket or going to Starbucks. So I gave him my card. One day I'm checking my bank account and I realized that he bought himself a $600 watch. You'll never guess what he said when I confronted him. Part 2 is up. Storytime about how my husband keeps borrowing money from me and now wants access to my accounts. What should I do? Disclaimer, it's not my Storytime, it's sending me on Instagram. When I confronted him about buying a $600 watch with my money, he told me that he has every single right to use my money as much as I do. And even though I'm the one earning the money, he is my husband, so he can do whatever he wants with it. I got so angry, I picked up one of my crystals and threw it right at his head. Luckily, it missed him, but it did scratch his ear. He went berserk and accused me of trying to kill him. He ran over to the ER with a scratch on his ear. Went straight to my parents' house and I told them what was happening. Obviously, my parents agree with me that he should not be spending $600 of my money on a stupid watch. And they told me to take away any access he had to my money. So I took away my debit card and my credit card from him. We both ended up apologizing to each other, so for a few months it was okay. He had a few jobs, so he had some spending money for himself. But then he got fired again. That's when he asked me politely to add him to my bank account so that he could get his own debit card from my account. To be honest, at first I thought it was okay, but I didn't say yes or no. I called my parents and they told me absolutely not. And when I told my husband, he threatened to divorce me. He says that I'm neglecting his needs. Part 3 is up. Story time about how my husband keeps borrowing money from me and now wants access to my bank accounts. Disclaimer is not my story time, it's on me on Instagram. That's when he threatened to divorce me because I wouldn't give him access to my checking account. He said that I was neglecting him. That's when he told me that if the tables were turned, he would be expected to give me money. And you know what? Totally true. At the same time, I can't allow him to just buy $600 watches. He then made a promise to me that he would only use the money for necessities. So for example, paying bills or anything like that. Although we already have our bills on auto pay, so I'm not sure how that would work. So I took him to the bank and I added him to my account. I know you all must think I'm so stupid right now. And you know what? I am. 2 days later after he got his debit card, I checked his bank account and he had signed up to 3 different OnlyFans accounts. That's a total of $50 a month coming out of my paycheck plus all the things that he buys on the website. I confronted him again and he told me that it was just for fun. And that because I'm at work and he's home alone, he needs something to entertain himself with. Then he told me that if he didn't have the OnlyFans accounts, he would probably end up just cheating on me. And then he asked me, what do you prefer, me watching stuff online or me actually going out and finding women? This is where I need your help. I see his point, but I'm not sure if this is like manipulation or something. He really seems so genuine and he's always doing my laundry, cooking, and cleaning up for me. Even rubs my feet when I get home from work. And I haven't told my parents about this. I think they'll hit the roof. Should I let him have access to OnlyFans and use my money? Or should I put a stop to it and risk him cheating? What should I do?
Am I the asshole for using a spray bottle to train my nephew? My nephew is a rainbow baby. My sister had a lot of trouble conceiving and he was kind of a miracle. She was 42 when she finally managed to give birth and she was on bed rest for the last 3 months of her pregnancy. My nephew is now 6 and while I love him, he is a monster. And he has a nasty habit of throwing tantrums when he doesn't get his way. He screams if he's losing a game and refuses to understand why he can't ride my 7-year-old Saint Bernard. Also, he thinks any food is his. My sister was visiting and my nephew was running around like a squirrel. He tripped and started crying, so my sister picked him up. He saw the cookie container on the counter and started asking for some, but I said no, those were special cookies for his uncle. I offered him a regular cookie or some fruit, but he got upset that he was being denied. My sister then asked if he could please have a cookie, and I relented and gave him one. Am I the asshole for using a spray bottle to train my nephew? I was a little upset that I had to give him my husband's cookie. A little while later, he came back and asked for another cookie. I said no. My sister said to just give him one, and I told her no, he wasted the last one. He started screaming that he wanted a cookie, and I stood my ground, and eventually he went away. Next time, he didn't even ask, just went for the container. I grabbed the spray bottle that I used to keep the cats off the counter and gave him a couple of squirts and said no. He got startled and ran away, and my sister said her son isn't an animal to be reprimanded with. Well, the next time he came into the kitchen, I put my hand on the spray bottle and he didn't even look back at the counter and went away. My sister called my parents to tell on me for treating her kid like that. Now they're mad at me for not giving in to the poor baby. So I'm just wondering, am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for calling my fiancé selfish for refusing to let my dad walk me down the aisle? My fiancé and I have been together for over 2 years. My family consists of just my dad and my older sister, and my dad has always been a single parent, devoting his life for me and my sister. I love my dad and we have the best relationship ever. However, him and my fiancé do not get along. For example, one time my fiancé suggested my dad sell his truck and my dad got offended. The truck belonged to my grandfather and he doesn't have the money to get it fixed. Another example was when my fiancé got mad at my dad at a party for talking about his struggle after my mom's death. He accused my dad of collecting sympathy points. Now on to the most recent disagreement. Am I the asshole for calling my fiancé selfish for refusing to let my dad walk me down the aisle? So my dad is refusing to give my fiancé money to contribute to the wedding. My fiancé complained, but I said my dad isn't obligated to pay anything. But yesterday, my fiancé told me to look for someone else to walk me down the aisle, and I asked why. He said my dad refused to help with the wedding, and he should be grateful he's still invited. I got upset and said for one, he doesn't have any money, and for two, just like any bride, I want my dad to walk me down the aisle. He threw a fit saying that I was trying to ruin his mood and get him upset on our wedding day. I called him selfish for wanting to take away one of the moments that I always dreamed of. Am I wrong? Am I the asshole for tricking my sister into giving her kid a stupid name? So my sister and I were pregnant at the same time and started discussing baby names. I said that I would not be telling her the one that me and my husband chose for our son. My sister is kind of a jerk and always enjoyed taking things that meant a lot to me when we were growing up. Well, she begged and even got our mom involved. I finally told her I was naming my son after my husband's grandfather. It was a classic old name like Herbert or Ambrose. Sure enough, she has her baby, and lo and behold, his first name is the name I told her. Am I the asshole for tricking my sister into giving her kid a stupid name? I finally told her I was naming my son after my husband's grandfather, a classic old name like Herbert or Ambrose. Sure enough, she has her baby, and lo and behold, his first name is the name that I told her. She said it was always on her list and it wasn't like it belonged to me. I guess she expected me to blow a gasket or something. Well, when my son was born, I gave him the name that my husband and I agreed on. It suits him and he is perfect. Now my sister is telling everyone that I tricked her into giving her son a goofy name. The name is Ezekiel.
The amount of time my girlfriend has spent sleeping has made me stop loving her. She's always slept more than me, that's fine, but lately it's been too much. She falls asleep at say 10 p.m., then wakes up after 12 p.m., some days even after 2 p.m. Then she takes a nap like 2 hours later for somewhere between 3 to 6 hours. I think my final straw was yesterday. She woke up at 9 and then took a 6-hour nap at 11. Then after waking up at 5-ish, cleaned for an hour, then took a 5-hour nap after that. She spent 11 hours of her daytime sleeping. I'll get hate for this as well, but it's affected our sex life. Every time I say I'm in the mood, she falls asleep. I don't mean she says, not tonight, and falls asleep. I mean she just falls asleep. One time, it was the afternoon and we both had off and I suggested it. She was excited, went to bed, and I took time to freshen up a bit. I came back like 3 minutes later and she was passed out. I get that I'm not owed sex, but I'm having a dry spell because she just sleeps. I keep telling her that this isn't normal and she needs to see a doctor, but she refuses. She says I'm controlling because I can't have her all the time. She seems to think that it's normal for people to sleep 20 hours a day. I've just stopped caring now. I can't leave her, but she makes me feel ignored for her bed. I'm lost and I don't know what to do.